my tía Yasmin was gonna take a shower, right? She was gonna take a shower, and her roommate asked her, I'm like, oh, like, you're gonna shower right now? She's like, yeah, why? I thought you already showered.
What?
Mm-hmm.
So the previous guy was the manager for like 30 years or something, and he actually died there.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and which explained a lot, which made sense. I don't know if souls stay behind or something, but
Yeah.
my little brother, he was like, I remember I was like 8, he was like 5. He'd wake me up because he said there was like, he sees an old man in the closet.
Compa Salada.
What's up, brother?
How are you today?
Good, man. Good.
Thank you for allowing us to, be here in your shop, Primeville Pets. All right, Compa Salada. This is called the scary storytelling. Usually what we do here is we tell paranormal, scary stories based on true events. I'm not usually one to have a lot of paranormal activity events happen to me. I've only had like one, and I've already told it in the first scary storytelling. But I do have other people's stories, that they've gone through that, have given them, the chills. They say it's very real, and, I believe it. I believe in paranormal activity. So when I hear someone who tells me that they've gone through something, that's definitely something to believe in. I hear you also have stories of your own.
Yeah.
Please, if you can tell us one story.
Yeah,
one you've gone through.
It's just it hasn't happened a lot, but I feel like it was more when I was like younger, for sure. But one that I will never forget, it was my mom said she was always bringing stuff up like, oh, I see this in the house or whatever, here and there. And I think she was just saying it to trying to scare me. But one time she went to the store, and I stayed behind. I was probably like 10, because she was just going down down the street, and I was just playing in the room. The window was closed and everything, and all of a sudden, like, I don't know, like I just felt like chills, and it was like kind of tickly. I was like, what the?
Yeah.
So I ignored it, and I thought I heard something. And then it was like a weird noise that I didn't know what to connect it to, but it was like human. Like, it wasn't like something fell. It wasn't like the TV was off and everything. It was like a breathing of sort, or some kind of like,
yeah.
And I was just like, what the? And then when I heard it, gave me like, it gave me the chills, and then this sense of fear just started setting in, and I was like almost panicking. So when I got up, and I just wanted to get out the room as fast as possible.
Right.
And the curtains and whatever we had there, just like right behind me, boom, they just like if a gust of wind came through the window, but the window was closed. So
right.
I'll never forget that, dude. Like, I was just like, I wanted to cry. I don't know if there's ghosts. I told my parents, and they said it was a demon. But like the years I lived in that apartment complex for like 20 years. Okay. So like later when I was older, my parents like told me that the previous person that lived there was like, we lived in the manager apartment, because my dad was a manager. So the previous guy was the manager for like 30 years or something, and he actually died there.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and which explained a lot, which made sense. I don't know if souls stay behind or something, but
yeah.
My little brother, he was like, I remember I was like 8, he was like 5. He'd wake me up because he said there was like, he sees an old man in the closet.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know what to say. Like, I was just trying to brush it under the rug, because if I like looked, and if it was real, I didn't want to like get scared. So I was just playing it off. But there was always like these little weird things going on. I'd sleep and get like sleep paralysis. I would see like shadows on the wall, and I would tell my parents like there's like these strange things happening in the room, you know, and
Right.
they were just like, oh, you watch too much cartoons, like, you know, so they're like, you're not gonna watch TV before bed or whatever. And it died down over the years. I don't know, you know, but it was just things I don't forget because I was like in my 5 full senses, seeing these things, like hearing, and it's just, you know, things that you don't forget.
No, yeah, for sure. I've always heard, you know, in other, you know, stories that, you know, where someone like is at a place for like a very long time. Let's say in your occasion, the previous owner, you know, who was there for, how long do you think he was there for?
Probably like 30 years.
30 years.
Mhm.
And you're saying that he died.
Yeah, he
Like-
died there.
Okay. So see, in that scenario, well, I tend to believe like, you know, if someone like, for example, dies at a place, that place is either gonna have some sort of scary vibe to it because of, you know, like previous owners, like you said.
Hmm.
It usually mostly happens when there's like a tragic event, you know?
Yeah, I think like energy imprints itself, or
Mhm.
you know, time
Yeah.
passes by, but that energy still lingers around.
Do you know what the man died of?
Just old age or something,
Just
like a
of
heart
old age?
attack or something. Yeah, and my parents didn't want to tell me. There's other people that lived in our apartment complex that, you know, they've been living there like their whole life too, and they told me, you know, when I was like 13, 14. And then when I told my parents, they were like, yeah, that's why we just didn't want to scare you boys or just make you think that the room you're, you know.
No, I get it, pero como te digo, bro, yeah, like usually when I hear stories of someone passing away in a specific place, like that specific place is gonna stay like haunted, I guess, you know, or
Mhm.
just have some sort of like off vibe, off energy, you know, you name it, pero you know, something's there, something's there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also have a kind of similar story that I like to talk to you about. This story is from my Aunt Yasmin. So thank you, Aunt Yasmin, for letting me tell your story. My Aunt Yasmin used to work at a lodge up in the mountains of Rogue River. You know where Rogue River's at?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like basically going towards Grants Pass. There's like a place that you can like stay at in the cabins up like in the mountain areas. And so my Aunt Yasmin, she used to work there, you know, because there would be people who would go there like on vacation to stay like at the cabins y todo eso. And my tia Yasmin, she had a weird schedule. There'd be times where like she would work a shift and then be off and then work another shift. But because it was so far from where, you know, she lived, she had to stay there at the lodge, you know, at the cabins.
Mhm.
My tia Yasmin, she would have like her own cabin, you know, but it would be a part of from like the visitors' cabins, where, you know, the visitors would stay. Like the workers had like their own cabin. My tia Yasmin, she had gotten off work, and she told me that this was around 2 p.m. So this was in the afternoon. She was pretty tired that day. She said that she went to go lay down. At first she couldn't sleep, right? Was on her phone,
Mhm.
because you know how like some people, you know, are on their phones before they go to sleep. And she had a roommate. Her roommate did end up falling asleep like right away, you know. Usually what they did was like just like serve breakfast, you know, just stuff like that, you know,
Mhm.
like clean tables, así. And so pretty much when they both got done working, they went back to their cabins and they had like a bunk bed. That's what my tia Yasmin told me, that they had like a bunk bed. And so my tia Yasmin was staying on top and her roommate was staying on the bottom. And so the roommate ended up falling asleep, and my tia Yasmin said that, you know, she was on her phone waiting to basically fall asleep. My tia Yasmin, like out of nowhere, just heard like the door of the bathroom like slam, you know. She didn't think nothing of it in that moment. So she was just, you know, she was like, oh, my roommate probably just got up to go use the bathroom. She ended up falling asleep. Once they both woke up, my tia Yasmin was going to take a shower, right? She was going to take a shower. And her roommate asked her, I'm like, oh, like, you're going to shower right now? She's like, yeah, why? I thought you already showered.
What?
Yeah. Her roommate heard someone in the bathroom showering, but my tia Yasmin was sleeping. Because
Crazy.
because supposedly they got off work, they were tired, they were gonna go to sleep, you know, to like rest up for their next shift. And both of them, you know, kind of experienced the same thing, you know, because my tia Yasmin, as she was falling asleep, she heard someone in the bathroom and she thought it was her roommate. And then her roommate heard someone in the bathroom while my tia Yasmin was sleeping. Right there, you know, like put two and two together, fucking paranormal, right?
Yeah.
What my tia Yasmin told me is that the previous owners were a couple, the owners of the whole, you know, cabin, like that whole area, I guess. So it was a couple, and I guess that couple also ended up, you know, passing away there, you know. And so again, we come to the, you know, conclusion on where someone passes away, it's most likely like that some sort of like energy is gonna stay there, you know. My tia Yasmin, she just, you know, finished off the like season there, and she never went back.
Damn.
Yeah, but no, I tend to believe that story porque, como te digo, bro, it's like in the mountains,
Yeah.
cabins. Other people were saying that they've also like heard shit. So, you know, she's not the only one, you know. Pero que that shit happened, bro. That shit happened.
Dude, I have a pretty good cabin story that I remember.
Oh yeah?
It was scary, man.
I better tell it.
Okay, this was not that long ago. I was still together with my kid's mom, and he was only like 2,
Well, okay.
or 1.5 and 2. He was still a baby,
Yeah.
and we went for a little family trip. We had gone up to Big Bear in California, and we got like a cabin and everything. It was kind of retro and everything. You could tell those cabins were like real old and stuff. And like in the middle of the night, like I don't know, I felt already something off. Like when we pulled up,
Yeah.
and dude, in the middle of the night, the baby, I was like kind of looking at him, right? Because when I always looked at him when he sleeps.
Yeah.
Dude, it looked like something like scared him awake. Like I saw him and I instantly got chills when I saw that, because he went like and started crying, and I got him up, and his mom was like, what happened? And then he was crying so like out of fear. I've never seen him cry like that. Like he wasn't hungry, he was like following something in the room with his little baby eyes, and that shit was making me more scared. I was just like, what does he see? He would just go like that, lock onto whatever it was. I felt such like a negative, like I get chill, like look, I get goosebumps just thinking of that night, dude. Like I've never felt that much fear out of something paranormal as an adult. I remember the kid stuff, but that I had forgotten about that. But when you start talking about the cabins, I was like, ooh, dude, we literally left that night.
Oh damn.
We
really?
didn't go to sleep. We just like, it was just like like a negative energy switch. Just boom, something was like in there, and our son was just like in complete fear.
Yeah, and you know, that's another thing that you had mentioned is that your son, and then you, when you were a kid, that you just felt like this presence, So another thing that I noticed is that, like, I feel like little kids are more vulnerable to like the paranormal activity,
Yeah, for sure.
I also tend to think it's because not because they're so young, but because like kids are full of energy,
Yeah.
So whatever.
I honestly, my theory is like kids still have their pineal gland intact.
Yeah.
And after the older you get, all the processed food we eat and all the fluoride stuff like shrivels it up, so you're not able to connect to that realm anymore, which makes sense. Like the higher ups just want to keep the masses controlled that way, but that's another story for another time, or that's just another rabbit hole.
Yeah,
but it all makes sense.
No, yeah, for sure, because even when I was a kid, like the littlest things would scare me, like for example, like if I was in my house, and I've all of a sudden heard a noise somewhere, then oh shit, like right away I'm like, there's fucking ghosts,
Yeah.
But now as an adult, if I just hear like there was a time I was washing the dishes, and then all of a sudden, like one of the plastic cups that was on the thing where you dry where the dishes dry, where you put the dishes to dry, it just fell, and I just looked at it. No, I didn't think nothing of
You're
it,
like,
you know.
"Eh."
I was like, it just fell, you know.
Yeah.
No, yeah, pero eso sí, bro. Like, it's something to think about, you know. Like, especially like if you like see it from a little kid's point of view, like they're most likely to like see.
What it was, dude. I was, yeah, dude. We left some stuff in there because when we packed whatever up, I didn't want to go back into that room.
Yeah,
It was so weird.
Yeah, and also like I've heard stories where like in other podcasts that are paranormal activity, the kids, you know, tell their parents like, oh, like I saw something, oh, like something's in there, and their parents think that they're crazy.
Yeah, that's my parents were like, oh, you watch too many cartoons.
Yeah, honestly, I want to say as a parent, if you have kids and your kids, you know, experience something,
Say they're seeing things. I would
please believe them, because like we said, they're more vulnerable to these types of experiences
and energies, yeah, because they're so innocent.
And that's what, like, and como te digo, like they're so full of energy, you know, and so whatever is there is trying to like take their energy.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
like apoderarse, you know.
Yeah.
And so so parents, if you have kids and you know they tell you some shit that doesn't make sense, please just believe them, because you've heard stories about like kids that have imaginary friends, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That might not be like due to paranormal, but most of the time it does have to do with paranormal. Why is it making that noise?
Because we're talking about paranormal stuff.
Probably.
And all the lights are off here.
Yeah. There's no paranormal activity here, right? Oh, it stopped.
I was gonna say, there's a delivery person that would come in at 5 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
And he said he was like super aware of like ghosts and stuff. He's like, you know, you got a ghost in your shop, but he's a friendly ghost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why'd you have to tell me that shit, man? Like, I don't want to know. I'm here by myself all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, the difference between a friendly ghost and like a ghost who wants to take over, like you can tell.
Yeah, I don't feel any negative energy.
Yeah,
here.
like you can definitely feel like a negative energy.
Yeah,
a ghost is, you know,
you get this sense of fear in you, like.
Yeah, but if it's a friendly ghost, it's a friendly ghost, bro. Like for me personally, it's nothing to worry about. Once you feel that negative energy, that's when you have to like have like someone come, holy water and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for today, Compa Celada. I appreciate you telling me your experiences on, you know, paranormal activity. Thank you guys for those who stayed towards the end. I really appreciate you guys, you know, listening to our experiences. You know, thank you again to my tia Yasmin for her letting me tell her story. This freaking noise keeps freaking... Never mind.
Fading in and out, huh?
Yeah.
Like something's trying to...
Yeah, like something's trying to like communicate with us.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm kidding. Anyways, but yeah, I appreciate you guys, you know, staying towards the end. Remember to like, subscribe to the, you know, channel. Be sure to check out some of the podcasts that I have on my channel. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Toxic Fernie.
Peace.
Out.